All right, my name is Hiram Shelton. This is my video on incarceration of women, and specifically in Utah because that's where I live. So in Utah, most women actually stay at the Utah State Prison, and they're in the Sandy facility or the Draper facility. The Draper facility does house both men and women, but for the women in this facility, it's actually more focused on rehabilitation. There's also the Salt Lake County Jail and the Wasatch facility that women stay in. The Wasatch facility, again, is more focused on rehabilitation, whereas the Salt Lake County Jail is actually more for short-term things, so women that are awaiting trial or just serving really short sentences. Then, because overcrowding is just a problem in every prison in probably every state, the county jail does sometimes serve as a place for really short sentences. Something I found, just some interesting things I found about women in Utah is that most of their offenses are not violent at all. Most offenders that are female in Utah are offenders because of substance abuse crimes or property crimes. And then issues concerning women prisoners. Now, these are specifically for women rather than men, and that is mental health and trauma, reproductive health, and family connections. So with health and trauma, we find that 60% of female inmates have experienced some sort of abuse or trauma, which means that counseling and there's going to need to be a lot more resources and tools for women that actually deal with trauma and the things that they've dealt with throughout their lives, pretty much actually as victims before they were offenders, and that's going to help them to reduce rates of recidivism. Then there's also reproductive health. This is specifically for women. Men don't have to worry about these types of things while they're in prison, but facilities in Utah do give access to health care. They include prenatal and postpartum care, and this is kind of new, but it's also great that we have this in Utah. And then lastly is family connections. Mothers are often far more connected with their children, and Utah is making a pretty big push to actually have more visitation rights and pushing for women to be able to see their children, because we find that is more helpful for women in their rehabilitation process and also more helpful for the children. An interesting statistic I found in Utah is that female offenders only make up 8% of the total prison population. And so that's just for Utah, and it's kind of amazing. I guess women are a lot more saintly in Utah than the men. Lastly, we got some prison programs that are specifically for women. We have the substance abuse treatment program, mental health services, educational and vocational training, and parenting classes. Now, all of these programs are, again, specifically for women. They can help with addiction, they can help with parenting, they can help with trauma and counseling, and they also help with women getting the education they need and preparing for work outside of incarceration once they are released. And so there's a lot of resources, a lot of tools for women to be successful and reintegrate into normal life really well. So yeah, it's really important from my takeaways are that women are different from men. There's not a one-size-fits-all, especially when it comes to trauma-based rehabilitation and counseling, and also aiming more towards substance abuse and property crimes, because women are often not violent offenders. And then there's gender-specific programs such as for parenting and reproductive health. And then also one of my takeaways is that Utah is doing really well in terms of making sure women have the visits that they need with their children to ensure that it helps them in their recovery rehabilitation process and also helps their children. I will leave my references below, and thanks for watching.